Hello, it's Tuesday, March 17th, 2020, St. Patrick's Day. Uh, and I wanted to reminisce a little bit about my uh, Catholic school education way back I guess it started in 1960 when I started first grade at St. Mary of the Assumption uh, Catholic school in Dalton, Illinois, the first suburb south of Chicago. And I remember I was taught through nearly all of my primary school education by an order of German nuns, the Sisters of Christian Charity. And I remember my first grade teacher was Sister Cecilia, and she was a round-faced young woman, I guess. I was 6 or 7 years old, and I don't know, you know, she was in her 30s or 40s, maybe. I don't know. But she was wonderful. I have very kind memories of her, of being very kind and, not at all scary, like some of the nuns were. Um, and I remember my second grade teacher, she was much, much older. Her name was Sister Marianella, and I think she was about 200 years old. She was very old. And she used to chew sen. Do you know sen? Kind of like a licorice kind of thing, but tastes nasty. Anyway, she used to chew that, and she would fall asleep at her desk. I remember that. But she also had a box of candy that, um, you know, I think she was selling the candy. I don't think she gave it out free. If you had a penny or something, you could get some candy or sweets from her, So there was that. In the third grade, I didn't have a nun for a teacher. My teacher was this woman named Mrs. Shields, and she was a big woman who I think she was also the choir director, and because I remember uh, her teaching me a love of music and song, and I was in the choir and learning Christmas carols and all, and really enjoying music. And she instilled that in me, and I'm so grateful to her for that. In the fourth grade, I had a woman named Mrs. West, I think was her name, and she was a little strict and kind of scary. But I remember she also taught me geography, and I just loved learning all about the world, everywhere in the world, and and especially later in my life, having the opportunity to travel to so many of those different parts of the world that I remember learning about as a young boy. So I'm grateful to her for that. My fifth grade teacher was Mrs. Kraft, and I remember her teaching history, and I enjoyed learning about history as well, not just American history, but European history, world history. I I enjoyed that a lot, and grateful to her. I remember I was in uh, Mrs. Kraft's fifth grade class on November 22nd, 1963, which of course is the date of President Kennedy's assassination. And uh, I remember they announced it on the intercom, school system intercom, and we all had to get down on our knees and pray for President Kennedy and all. And of course, it was so shocking, and when he died, and all of that, and the funeral, and the Lee Harvey Oswald, and then him getting killed by Jack Ruby and all. I mean, and that happened right on live television. I remember watching that live on TV. Is it any wonder how fucked up I am? Anyway, in the sixth grade, I had a German nun, Sister Gandaberta, and I don't think she even spoke English very well. And she was a wee bit hysterical. She did her best to try and teach me math, but it just wasn't going to happen. I could add and subtract and multiply and divide, but beyond that, not much talent for numbers. So that's why I was an English teacher. And then after that, I don't remember, or maybe I repressed the memories and all of that. And then I went to high school at Thornridge High School, which was not Catholic, civil, or anyway, which was a wonderful high school. And of course, I found my way into the theater department with all the other sissies and had a wonderful time there for 4 years. And then I went on to any number of universities and all, finally getting my master's degree at Loyola University in Chicago. I've always loved learning and still do, and a lifelong learner. So that's my little reminiscence about education and all of that. So be fabulous.